Good morning, Kahal Kadosh, Beruchim Aba'im to everybody. Today, Wednesday, the 26th day of Nisan, the 27th of April, 11th day of the Omer. Today's class graciously dedicated Le'ilui Nishmat, the great community leader and esteemed board member, Mr. Charlie Saka Yeshaya Ben Lora Alav Shalom. Iratzon, that to the words of Torah, his neshama have an aliyah in Gan Eden. Amen. Today, the Sefirah, the way it works on the 11th day of the Omer, Moshe Rabbeinu is the guest of honor, with Itzhak Avinu being the host. But interesting enough, that today is also, according to many, the Hilulah of Yehoshua Bin Nun, the famous Yehoshua Bin Nun, student of Moshe Rabbeinu Alav Shalom. His yortzeit is today, actually. So many great things are written about Yehoshua Bin Nun, and one of them, the pasuk says, "Yehoshua Bin Nun na'ar lo yamish mitoch ha'ohel." What does it mean in plain English? It says, Yehoshua Bin Nun was a young man, he will not depart from the tent. Although ohel usually means ohela shel Torah, a tent of Torah learning, but Yehoshua Bin Nun was like the shadow of Moshe Rabbeinu. And I need to clarify, in the 21st century, if you use the word a shadow, that means that the student needs help. They need a shadow to be on top of them, to make sure the child behaves properly. In the school system, this is very common. People make a living out of being a shadow. Sure, you're not a teacher, you are a monitor of a child who needs extra attention. You make sure the child pays attention. You make sure the child doesn't hurt anyone. Make sure the child himself doesn't get hurt, doesn't disturb students. That's called a shadow in a classroom. In this case, in the case of Yehoshua Bin Nun, nothing to do with that concept. Yehoshua Bin Nun was the shadow of Moshe Rabbeinu because he wanted to learn from Moshe Rabbeinu. To the point that when Moshe Rabbeinu was getting ready to leave the world, he didn't want to leave the Jewish people without a father. Don't forget, Moshe Rabbeinu was the leader for 40 years of Am Israel. Suddenly, the chief rabbi of Israel, Moshe Rabbeinu, is leaving the world. Moshe said, I can't just leave and let the people decide who's going to be next in line. Actually, our rabbis tell us that Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to have one of his sons to be the next Moshe Rabbeinu of the generation. God says no. I have a backup plan. Who is this? Yehoshua Bin Nun. Yehoshua Bin Nun. Yehoshua, the name of Yehoshua by himself is Yehoshua. Yeho, yes, Hashem's name. Yod Ke Vav Ke. Shua is from salvation. That's why when we came to the story of the Meragelim, the pasuk tells us that Moshe Rabbeinu changed the name from Hosea to Yehoshua. How did Moshe Rabbeinu change the name? Short answer. Remember in Safra Bereshit, the story of Sarai and Avram. Sarai and Avram, they did have a change of name. Sarai became Sarah, Avram became Abraham. So the letters He, which is Hashem's name, were added to Abraham and Sarah. They were given a new identity, because based on the previous identity, they were not supposed to have children. Now they have a new identity. The Gemara says the change of name changes the mazal to the person, so therefore they were able to conceive a child. But imagine yourself for one moment the feelings of the letter Yod, because the name of Sarah was Sarai. If I remove the Yod, I evicted the Yod from Sarah's name, and I put a He, the letter Yod is not happy. She says, well, you evicted me from the name of a tzaddiket. But Omer says, don't worry. I have for you two benefits. Benefit number one, you're going to go to another Sadiq by the name of Hosea. And number two, in Sarah's name, you were the last letter. In Yehoshua's name, you will be the first letter of the word. So imagine yourself how long this transaction took for it to become a reality. Abraham and Sarah, they lived, give or take, in the year 2000 and change since the creation of the world. The switch of the name was, give or take, in the late 2400s. So there were almost 400 to 500 years that this letter Yod was lingering. What's going to be with me? What's going to be with me? What's going to be with me? God says, don't worry. I'm going to take care of you. Just be patient. And that's how the name of Hosea was switched to Yehoshua. But yet, how the Torah calls Yehoshua? Bin Nun. So why do you call him Bin Nun? The word Bin is not a common word in the Torah. There is another pasuk that says, Behayim bin hakot rasha. That's another pasuk. Why Yehoshua it's called Bin Nun? Short answer. The Yod of Sarai was at the end of the word. A Yod, to have a sound, doesn't require to have a vowel underneath. I can say Sarai and I don't have anything on the name. Can be a Yod by itself. Now, if I'm going to move the Yod to the beginning of the word, I need to put some spices. I need to put a vowel. So what happens now? You have the word Ben. The word Ben, son, has a segol, has 3 dots. The 3. Ben is 3. So what did the Torah does? We borrow 2 dots to call Yehoshua. Because now the Yod is going to the beginning of the word. And in Hebrew grammar, if you want to pronounce the letter Yod, you need to put a vowel underneath. So we have the Sere, or even the Sheva, by the Yod, because the Sheva is also pronounced always in the beginning of the word. So I have 3 dots. 2 I send to the word Yehoshua. Now I have 1 hirik. And now it comes to Bin. That's how we got there. You have to come all the way from Israel to learn this. Versteht? Rabotai, I have to catch a flight. So I'm going to expedite the class. I stay for you today. The Shem Shammai. Sure, my office staff said to me, Rabbi, the plane is not going to wait for you. I said, don't worry about it. I know the pilot. The Shomer Shabbat pilot, by the way. Sure. But I can't tell you more details for obvious security reasons. So we have today the Nesach She Vagevura. Nesach means eternity. Gevura means restraint, self-control, discipline, etc. Here he brings a beautiful mashal, a beautiful parable. A person goes to the dentist. Is it a happy visit to go to the dentist? No. Most people avoid going to the dentist. But we know that sometimes we need to go to the fearful experience of going to a dentist for the long-term benefit. So you rather go to a challenge now and you don't have to deal with it later. Or it's like a person who needs to take a shot, whatever that means, or needs a medical procedure, and the person says, no, I'm afraid of the needle because of the pinching of the needle. So you rather go to shtickle, a bit of challenge, a bit of pain, for the benefit of the long-term effect. This is the Sefirah of today. For example, the Mishnah is brings in the not the Mishnah, but actually the Hafetz Haim brings a very interesting concept in Shemirat al-Lashon. And it says many times people want to take upon themselves ta'aniyot, fast days. Okay? I feel today like fasting. You cannot feel today like fasting. If you want a fast day to be accounted for, you need to take it the day before in Mincha. But have the Hafetz Haim, and it says, you know what? In Yiddish there is a statement that says, Tut mir nicht kan toives, for those who understand. In English it means, don't do me no favors. The Hafetz Haim says, instead of you fasting from eating, fast from talking. Don't talk. Some people try to do this in Kippur. Correct? It's not easy. It's called Ta'anit Dibur. During the period of the Shovavim, in the winter, we have some communities who do Ta'anit Dibur, etc. Now, there was a great rabbi, which I knew well, a great rabbi, Pinchas Steinberg. He was the rabbi that wore 60, 70 sisiot. Already reached 100? Okay, very nice. And it says that on Shabbat for 60 years, he will not speak. But if he will speak, will be words of prayers and words of Torah, Tehillim. Obviously, we're not in that level. When you reach that level, you'll sit down and you'll give the class. Okay? In the meantime, I'm creating an awareness of the great Hacham, which I happen to know well, not only from Israel, but actually to some of his visits here in America. And it says, no, more. Don't try this. Don't try this. Sisit Katan. Sisit Katan. Now, so the message of today is try to have 5 minutes a day that you don't say anything. But it cannot be while you're sleeping. Because if you do that, you defeat the whole purpose. It has to do in the middle of the day. Let's see how long do we last. I tried this in the past. Those were the longest 5 minutes ever. True, it's not simple, but it says part of the Sefirah of today is try to have the upper hand in self-control. Another message, he says, Ben Adam la Havero, talks about problematic relationships. There are plenty of those out there. Some of them happen in the synagogues, some of them happen at home, some of them happen in the business world. It says, don't let the misery linger in your life because it does not bring any benefit to the person long term. Sometimes people tell you, I don't speak to this guy for the past 20 years. And you ask them, why not? And what they answer you, I don't remember. So what happened? You live 20 years without talking to a relative, usually, or a good friend, and you don't even know the reason why not. So it says, you know what? You be the strong one in a good way. You initiate the conversation. Send them a mishloach manot purim basket. Send them flowers for the holiday. Invite them. Talk. Obviously, it's not so easy because many times there are so many emotions, and many times there is pain and there is family drama. Like I told the other day, someone who called me with a very challenging question. A question about money, family relationship, and many other matters. So I said to the couple, I said to both of them, either decision you're going to make, someone is going to get hurt. If it's not your wife, it's going to be you. If it's not you, it's going to be your mother. It's not going to be your mother, it's going to be your sister. Okay, so there is no solution. I said to the person, of course there is a solution. We need to call Shlomo HaMelech. Remember the story of Shlomo HaMelech? What did he do? Cut the baby in half. He said, Rabbi, You telling me to cut the baby in half? Say, no, don't cut no babies, please. But I'm going to explain to you what we are going to do. And somehow, somewhere, the happy ending was that everyone accepted whatever it was proposed. And you have to understand, I tell the husband, if you listen to your mother, you're hurting your wife. If you listen to your wife, you're hurting your mother and your sister. So you have to decide what's more important to you. Husband and wife relationship or your mother and sister's relationship? And he answered me a good question. Both. Both are important, which I was very happy to hear that. And the wife tells me, Rabbi, I don't want to have issues with my mother-in-law, which is beautiful also to hear. Because when it comes to money, people change. Especially if you, as they say, Ba'ala mi'a, Ba'ala di'a. If you're the one who put the money up, you have a say on the matter. That's a very, very pashut stuff. So Baruch Hashem, going back and forth and doing some halachic research, Borei Olam gave us a solution that everyone was happy with. Nothing, we negotiated.
The husband went with the mother?
Now everybody's together. Everybody's together. We work a payment plan, because a suggestion says, do this, do that, do this, do that. I said from an economical and a financial perspective, you are correct. But when you deal with emotions and finances, it's difficult to separate them. And the deadline was yesterday. They haven't called me, so I'm happy that they haven't called me. They were happy with the answer. I told them, you gotta do this with your mom, you gotta do this with your wife, you gotta do this with your sister, and you gotta do this for yourself. Are you able to cover these 4 suggestions? Husband and wife says, Rabbi, Amen. And that's beautiful. Because many, many times, God forbid, it could be that something is burning, I think. Okay, before the alarm goes on, please. Nothing? Excellent. Thank you. So that's part of the Sefirah of today. I'm going to be so tough and I'm going to lose everything, or perhaps I'll give in a bit, but I have long-lasting term relationship. Can you imagine the mother-in-law says, your wife, that means to the son, didn't allow me to do this. Where does it put the husband? In what position? Don't answer me. Not in a comfortable one. That's the message of the Sefirah of today. Look at the long-term benefit in the relationships. We're not even talking about other matters, but a relationship. One more. I have to go. I'm staying overtime. I know that you like me, but the airplane doesn't wait for me. No, I can't. I was about to leave earlier. I said, no, how can I leave you without the class? So tomorrow and Friday you have Rabbi Moshe's class. I'm going to do it in deal. Yes, Be'ezat Hashem. Don't worry, for the Aventura group, it will be live, hopefully Be'ezat Hashem. So I'm coming back Friday morning. Easy. Can't escape me. I'm watching the videos every day afterwards. So don't worry about it. So one more. For example, let's say that a doctor tells a patient, don't eat this type of food or don't smoke any longer because, God forbid, is dangerous to your health. We know already that smoking is dangerous. It's not a hidush. Okay? But let's put smoking on the side. Let's believe that no one in this room smokes. And if you do, I better not see you smoking. Okay? But let's talk about food. Food, to some people, is a bigger temptation and challenge than smoking. Because many times people don't like smoking. But if the doctor is telling you, don't eat this because of your cholesterol, because of your sugar, or for whatever condition it may be, and the person says, yeah, but I have to say 100 berachot a day, and therefore now he eats. Yani, he tells you the halakha. So the Sefirah of today says, even that there is a mitzvah or halakha to recite 100 blessings a day, they don't need to be through food. You can say blessings through tefillah, through shariatzar, you drink water, you drink healthy stuff, you eat healthy stuff, and that's part of the Sefirah of today. I need to have the Devora. I need to have the discipline of saying no to this item in order to prolong my well-being in a physical way. In English, they say you need to tighten the belt. Okay? So many times, and that's the Sefirah of today, we tighten the belt, and even though you don't see the end result immediately, like dieting. Dieting is challenging and is difficult. You know, Pesach is over. We better go on a diet because Rabbi Yosef with matzah and the wine and all the delicacies of the holiday, you know, we need to take a little break now. And we're starting on Monday, right? The question is, which Monday? This Monday is Rosh Chodesh. I have to wash. I'm already giving you the halachic stick. And Tuesday I have a Berit Milah. And Sunday is also Rosh Chodesh. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, taken. I'm going to start on Wednesday to break it on Friday. You have. But the Sefirah of today doesn't matter. Even for 5 minutes, like the Hafetz Chaim said, even for 5 minutes, if we exercise self-control on something that we can afford to have self-control, is a great accomplishment. I'll finish with a concept called Ta'anit Hara'abad, the fast day of the Ra'abad. The fast day of the Ra'abad is a halachic term given to a person that is able to control themselves when it comes to eating food. Let's say in front of me I have a bagel. I don't really eat bagel. So far I haven't eaten bagel in a long time. But let's say I have a bagel in front of me. You make it for me. Toasted bagel with cream cheese and jelly. Sounds good, right? Delicious. Okay? Don't do it, please. I'm not going to eat it. Don't do it. Okay? It's in front of you. And the smell of the toasted bagels is coming through your nostrils. And that creates excitement inside of your body. That's why deli counters have certain setups for smell. So when you walk through it, the smell attracts you. Okay? What do? You have the bagel in front of you. The bagel is calling you. I'm waiting for you. And then says the Ra'avad, you hold yourself. I'm not going to eat you now. I'm going to wait 1 or 2 minutes. I'll decide when I'm going to eat. According to the Ra'avad, that is considered bigger than a day of fasting. Like the Hafetz Chaim says, you want to do a day of fasting. It's pious and holy. By the way, after Rabbeinu Ha'ari, fasting was more common than eating. First of all, food was very scarce, was very limited. So people fasted. But people fasted also for spiritual reasons. Different transgressions, different amount of fast days. Now what happened? If you fast, like it says the story, and with this I'll finish, with Remechel of Zlochov, one or two generations after the Baal Shem Tov. And a fellow heard that if he fasts for 40 days, you'll have the potential merit of meeting Eliyahu Navi. Good deal. So there was a fellow in the community who fasted 40 days, 3 times, with a break in between. Now, when I say fast day, it means from sunrise till sunset, 12 hours fast. In English, they call it today intermittent fasting for dieting. You eat twice a day with 12 of 16 hours break between the meals. Okay? Now, the fellow did it one time, nothing happened. The fellow did it the second time, no Eliyahu Navi. The fellow did the third time, that's already 120 days, no Eliyahu Navi. So comes Michael of Zlochov and asks him, when you finish the 40-day cycle, how do you behave yourself? He says, Rabbi, after 40 days, I'm a vacuum cleaner. Whatever my wife puts out, I eat. No leftovers. The Mechel of Zlochov says that's the reason. You did the fasting without making really a sacrifice. You want to meet Eliyahu Navi. To meet Eliyahu Navi. But if at the end of the fast, you throw out everything you did before by eating like a desperado, you're defeating the whole purpose of the Ta'anit. That's why your 40 days of fasting maybe save you money in the grocery bill, but spiritually didn't achieve much. And that's why Rabino Ari changed that. People used to fast. If you get angry, how many days of fasting for anger? Throw me a number. 150. For one time Lashon Hara, how many days of fasting? 33 days. For Hilul Shabbat, 320 days. I have the chart in the office. Maybe one day I'll bring it. He brings mocking someone, 40 days, automatic. And many other actions. But obviously, none of the above applies. That was a time of people took upon themselves fast days and sigufim. Sigufim means in English, self-imposed challenges. For example, you go to the mikveh, no warm, with a hammam and towel and shampoo and conditioning. Going to the mikveh means go to the frozen lake, break the ice, and dip in the mikveh. You don't want to do that? I give you another one. Roll up on the snow without a shirt. To us, it sounds extreme, but there was a time in history that people used to do this. They call it sikufim, self-imposed afflictions to repair spiritual avirot. Came the Baal Shem Tov after Rabino Ari and removed all of the above. Yes, there is no way. God doesn't want the person to fast without changing action. Fasting is understood in certain commemorative dates of the Jewish calendar. But you achieve more by not fasting than by fasting. Because if we fast without having a certain spiritual change to upgrade ourselves, I don't know how much the fast day really helped the person. So you can fast, but if you remain the same person, what did you achieve? Okay, you roll your sometimes people tell me what they did. I got up at 4 o'clock, I learned, I did the boledut, I went to the mikveh, I came to pray, I came to a breakfast, I came to learn, Hazak Baruch. 2 minutes after, you cursed someone. What did all of the above help you? And to finish the class in a positive note, because really I have to run. Don't tell people of your spiritual actions. The less you talk about it, the more successful and beneficial will become in your life. That's a secret that you need to know. Sometimes people tell you, I did this, I did this, I did that, I did this. There is a pasuk that says, Ve'asne alechet im elokecha. When it comes to godly matters, between you and God. Nobody needs to know. Occasionally, let's say you want to do something, you need to do something, you may have, but to start saying, this is what I did, this is what I did, this is what I did, is not beneficial for the person completely. The pasuk that says, Ve'asne alechet im elokecha. When it comes to godly matters, between you and God. Nobody needs to know. Occasionally, let's say you want to do something, you need to do something, you may have, but to start saying, this is what I did, this is what I did, this is what I did, is not beneficial for the person completely.